Today's Wednesday, June 13th, 2018. I'd like to wish my wonderful wife and mom a happy birthday.
You're tuned in to the Elevator Radio Show, a weekly program dedicated to covering news and information on elevators, escalators, and moving walkways. Produced in the wee hours of the morning, a new show is uploaded every Wednesday, sometimes even before you get out of bed. Listen to some of the comments sent in from our audience.
Rob from New York writes, Tom, are you f***ing insane? You actually get up at 2 a.m. each Wednesday to put this show out? Man, you must love elevators. Tim from Illinois writes, I'm not sure why I listened, but ever since I tuned into the first show back in 2007, I've been addicted. Matt in Texas writes, I like your safety messages, Tom. It's important to remember them each and every day. And he also adds,
when am I going to win the monthly prize pack giveaway?
Ron from California sent this in. Despite your inability to pronounce words in the English language, I tune in each week and am glad that you offer this service to the industry. It's better than Google News alerts. Sarah from Washington writes, love the show, Tom, and look forward to it each week. I'm glad I signed up for the newsletter. You provide a valuable resource for the industry, not only for North America, but worldwide.
Enjoy the show. And now, here's your sleep-deprived host, Tom Seibert.
Thank you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's good to be here, everybody. Thank you for joining me. If you are tuning in on the YouTube channel or the iTunes widget or wherever you're picking up the show, thank you for being part of my day, my morning, this short segment called the Elevator Radio Show. The show number 507, week June 13th, 2018. And unfortunately, I would like to share that this is not an easy show to put out today, mainly because seemed to be just way too many accidents to report on, and one is too many in my opinion, but just a slew of them, one of which happened in our backyard here in Chicago, Illinois. So we'll share those in the as we get into the program. June is a crazy busy month for no other reason than the fact that it is my wife's and my mom's birthday on the same day, which is today. So happy birthday, Mom. Happy birthday, Tiffany. Hope you both have a great day. In addition, we got Elevator U next week. The Chicago cruise is a week from next Wednesday. It's just a really busy June, as it typically is. And also at work with other projects. It just, I'm coming in every work about 3 o'clock, just trying to catch up, and it's taking a toll on me. And as stressed out as I may get, and as stressed out as you may get over the jobs that you do each day and the deadlines that you're under, just remember this, that, and it took me a while to kind of realize this, but you don't really realize it until that light bulb goes off in your head, and you say, you know what? This pressure that I'm putting on the pressure that I'm putting under myself. So if you can just take a step back, put everything kind of in reality and in perspective, ask for help when you need it, and hopefully that'll help your job out and make you a safer person, because unfortunately sometimes what we do is we rush through things not realizing that things are not getting done the way that they need to get done. And we're taking shortcuts, doing all sorts of stuff that we shouldn't be doing. So just remember that, and I'll get into that a little bit more at the end of the show with an article that Bob Shepard allowed me to repost from his newsletter, a letter from the executive director of NACE International. So we'll get into that later on. So anyway, enough of me rambling on. I will cover the news of the week next. And as always, if you've got questions, comments, concerns, you can send me an email, elevatorradioshow@gmail.com, or post something on the Facebook page. All that good stuff. Okay. Unfortunately, it's difficult to stay up on most of the emails and comments, but I do my best, which is probably not good enough, but that's okay. That's on me, and that is my prerogative. So anyway, we'll cover the news next and have you out of here in about 20 minutes.
Let this week's news stories give you a lift on what's happening in the vertical transportation arena. Each news segment is organically dug and fresh with news stories of the week. Got lift? If not, stay tuned.
First news story of the week, Chicago Sun-Times as well as the Chicago Tribune reported as of yesterday, around 6 o'clock p.m., and 51 years old was killed in an elevator shaft fall at Logan Square. And that's a kind of an area of Chicago where it looks as if, based on the Chicago Tribune article, it was a construction worker who had fallen down an elevator shaft awful, and happened actually yesterday, right after lunchtime. So awful, awful, awful. OSHA is investigating. As we find out more information, we'll definitely share it as to what may have caused this. But as you can imagine, these types of accidents with OSHA investigating typically take quite some time to report on, figure out what happened, and apparently it was a construction worker. And a similar accident, this one's a bit more horrific. I shouldn't really say that because they're both horrific in their nature and the outcome. Baltimore Sun reported that authorities are investigating the death of a construction worker at the Plan McCormick and Company headquarters in Hunt Valley. A description of what apparently happened or how this construction worker was found was pretty horrific in terms of how he was pinned. He had been working as an elevator mechanic for several years after 2 tours in Iraq, and then also he served 8 years in the U.S. Marine Corps. And just awful. It sounds like the kind of guy he'd do anything for, and I just truly wish that we weren't reading about accidents like this anywhere in our country. And I'll kind of touch on that later on at the end of the show, and just trying to figure out ways that we can do better, that we can prevent these things from happening, because one fatality a year is too many. And my goal this year of no accidents is far from that. Unfortunately, it looks as if we're on track to have the most accidents we've had in quite some time, that I can remember, in terms of what's being reported online. And that just might be based on the media that is able to post and repost and whatnot. So St. Louis, there was another accident where 2 construction workers or laborers, I don't quite understand what they were doing, but they were killed in a fall down an elevator shaft. Apparently they were suspended in some type of basket with cables, and I think they were employed by a wrecking crew or some type of demo crew. Stories or reports indicate the cable broke and they both had fallen. So just awful. I mean, I've never heard of a basket that hangs down an elevator shaft before, and I'm not sure what type of safety devices have to be followed, or codes, or anything that would make riding in one of those safe. Again, I don't have all the details, obviously, but still not so good. And those 3 articles, as we lead the show today, are horrific. They're awful. They've changed basically 4 lives forever, and even more family members of those families that will never see their loved ones again. So it's just horrific. So I don't know what would make things different, make us think differently, a different perspective, make us think more safety conscious. I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe it's just our own, maybe it's just our own human nature of feeling invincible, that we could do anything. And I just don't know. I truly wish that articles and accidents like this did not happen anywhere, but they're continuing. Okay, on a brighter news, article or note, to Elevator Constructors Union in Local 2 here in Chicago is accepting 800 applications for apprentices starting June 16th. I guarantee that line will be out the door. Equivalents or requirements for that information is actually online. Great job. Let's see here. Applications are being processed by national. Okay, it will be online. Good. Okay, so I guess you don't have to show up, right? Does that make sense? I remember the good old days when you'd actually have to line up around the building, to do that. So it's a good gig. It's a safe gig as long as you are practicing safety, and it's one of those industries where few leave once they are in. Okay, SCS Elevator Products announces a new president. It's a press release coming from the Pierce County Herald, and this is a company in Minnesota. If you don't know about them, anyway, the new president is Dave Mulkin. So I'm sure we'll see him at an upcoming show sometime. He's running the day-to-day operations of that entity. Well, Donna moves into the CEO position. Okay, audit reveals issues with New York City inspections, and I received a couple emails from people that had sent me this article, and all I can say is that New York City, you were too good for this kind of stuff. I mean, you really are, and you got to get that that Elevator Safety Act passed. Get licensed mechanics in there working on equipment, not people that can put siding on buildings and all that. And the reality is that the Department of Buildings has indicated or audited where they found deficiencies, and sometimes inspections not even being performed when they have been filled out. I'm sure this happens everywhere. Not that you want it to happen everywhere, but the reality is that for the number of units that are around in New York City, 48 inspectors is not enough, and obviously third-party inspections are not exactly working. And I don't quite understand how you can have third-party inspections when you don't even license the people and the companies that are working on equipment in the city of New York. So it's a whole issue that I see as being wrong, and I'm sure maybe I'm getting it wrong. I don't know, but that's just my short version of what I think is wrong with it. Feel free to correct me or yell at me if I'm way off the mark on that. But it's not. New York City is a great city. It's a city that shouldn't have issues like this. Is the bottom line. You should be leading by example. I know that doesn't get hung on just one person, but it's something that it's like, oh, come on, why go that route? Why be a city that is one that is thought of like this? I think of that as Chicago sometimes too. So it's not just New York City; it's other ones as well. Okay, missing 19-year-old woman found in an elevator shaft. This is in Chesterfield, Missouri. Apparently, Chesterfield Police Department reported that 19-year-old Paige Nicole Thomas had been missing since Saturday morning. But then late Saturday afternoon, she was found at the bottom of an elevator shaft under construction. Kind of scary. So, you shouldn't be going into buildings that are under construction, obviously, and that should not be information that we need to share that often. It should be just common sense to reality, to some extent. But it's not always the case. Okay, news from a couple of press release companies. Sacramento Business Journal has this one about GL has purchased Elevator Controls of Sacramento, or ECI. So that's kind of some pretty big news. And unfortunately, I'm not going to subscribe to get the full story. This article is actually in the I think businesswire.com or whatever. But yeah, GL's continued acquisition is continuing to be a pretty significant, large company entity in the elevator landscape. So you wonder whether or not this is going to get to the point and so big that you get some major company buying it just to buy it, and then it becomes some huge company where there's only one company doing it. But I don't think that'll happen. But it's interesting still to see and see the landscape and how the manufacturing and supplier landscape is changing and has changed over the last 10, 15 years, and how just companies have been acquired. And again, nothing new, but you typically see this on the constructor side, not necessarily the other side, the manufacturing side. So it's nice to see companies, I guess, going down this route and for whatever reason, selling and becoming part of larger entities. And I'm sure it definitely benefits, the owners of the companies that own those. Okay, I talked about this next article on last week's program. Just watch this on your own, the video, because I am all in favor of improving. Hold on a second here. Improving on elevator safety, no matter where it is at in any city across the country. I am all for that. That's the bottom line. But the elevator bill, Christopher's Law, is being pushed by legislators to ensure that everybody's safe. And this includes building an elevator board that helps kind of mandate. The issue I have with this is that this poor security corrections officer was basically pushed down an elevator shaft by an inmate. And I don't know exactly whether or not the safety retainers were in place or what the deal was or exactly if there were deficiencies with the lift itself. But we're talking about an inmate attacking a corrections officer and falling into an elevator shaft. I mean, but again, anything, it's terrible. Anything to get safety on the forefront, I'm fine with. So it's good to see kind of this kind of traction. It just is kind of, the article does not go into the fact that the elevator that was there was unsafe, which obviously there was an issue if you could fall into the elevator shaft with the doors or the retainers either not there or not. Whatever. I'm not speculating anything, so I'm going to move on. Okay, the Chicago Elevator Golf Outing, or the Chicago Elevator Open 2018. The registration is there on their website on the link, cea-online.org. It's August 3rd, 2018. Some great sponsorship opportunities, and they have one of the coolest giveaways, or not auctions, raffles. That's what it's called. That I've ever been to. So it's been legendary for so many years, and Tom Perspala at PSI does a great job at that. So make sure you put that on your calendar. What officials say caused the escalator to suddenly reverse at the New Jersey Transit. Apparently it was a brake issue. So that seems to be what we all thought, and makes obvious sense. Brakes need to be maintained, they need to be adjusted, etc., etc., etc. Okay, here we go. Elevator U Conference is next week. I will be at that, which means probably no show next week. I always say, man, maybe yes, maybe no, but the reality is that it's a late Wednesday night for me. It's our open vendor night, and then it's just a busy time. Helping out with an event like that it just takes a lot out of you. So looking forward to seeing many of you there at the show, and it's going to be at the University of Alabama at the Bryant Conference Center, with the host hotel being somewhere else, Hotel Indigo, I believe. Chicago Cruise is in 2 weeks, and that's one of those events that I just slipped my mind. I didn't realize that I actually did sponsor that and pick up a couple of tickets, but just go over and contact the ESF or go to the CEA link. There's a cruise registration link in there. Space is limited, so get your registration in as soon as you can. It's fireworks. It's a great time on the lake. It's one of those things where, you don't see it. I don't get a chance to really go downtown too often. Don't really like to. Traffic's a nightmare, but it's a nice event. Great to see people, and it's a nice time to just kind of relax and support a good cause. And before I get into the last one, hey, if you are, can't play this. This is the Elevator Constructor Anthem. This is an elevator mechanic who wrote a song, and he's asking $1.29 for it, which is not a lot of money. I'm going to buy this, but I can't play it on the show. So you can link this up. It's a pretty good song. I like it. It's explicit, has explicit content in it. Plus, press the play button, and you can go ahead and listen to it on your own. Again, I can't play it on the show due to copyright issues, and I don't want to, because you can listen to it on your own, but just check that out. And the last news article I just wanted to touch on with my soapbox was Bob Shepard's letter from the executive director in the Progress, their NASA International's newsletter that they put out every month. And I think, you don't think about stuff until you think about stuff, and it should be put on a bumper sticker, right? But the reality is that what Bob is talking about in this article is elevator safety is a silent majority or just a vocal minority. And the reality is that, we all talk safety. There's a big push to lower, accident rates, to minimize accidents, all that stuff. But is it enough? Is it, are we just talking the talk and not walking the walk is the bottom line. And, Bob's obviously very passionate in what he writes about. He does a great job here making us all question, like, what, that's a really good point. Are we doing enough? We shouldn't feel content with having our safety meetings and just going over the regular stuff each and every day. The reality is that we need to do more, and we need to think about the fact that it's more about logging your report that you've actually done the inspection, the safety talk, that you've gone over these points, everybody signed the document. It's more than that. It's making sure people understand. And if there's a way of getting through to those that you give your safety talks to that involves showing graphic photos, terrible stuff, do it. I mean, just do it. My biggest memory from high school that I will never forget, that I will, to this day, I've shared it with my kids, was when the Cook County coroner came in during prom, during our junior year of high school. The Cook County coroner had, a big auditorium, literally had images from accidents that were caused by drunk driving. And back then, apparently, it was a big thing. I don't know. I will never forget the photograph of a motorcyclist who was decapitated because he was driving under the influence. It's still in my head. I mean, horrifically in my head. I can still see the expression on his face. As if he knew what was going to happen in that split second. I mean, it's bad. I mean, if that's what it takes, if we have to get around, the fact that people or workers may not understand the seriousness of it, maybe it's going to take photos. Maybe it's going to take some, shock and scare tactics that maybe we don't do enough of. They do it in other countries, and we're so damn sensitive of, no, we can't show that. We can't show this. This is not acceptable. The reality is that, you know what? If that's what it's going to take, that's what it's going to take. Show a picture of a mechanic that's been pinned in between a car and a counterweight. What does that look like? Do you want to be that guy or gal? All right. So read the article, and Bob, thanks for letting me repost this. I think it's extremely important. I think the term that he coined, elevator safety attention deficit disorder, is definitely true. And just know that we ultimately are under our own control. No matter who the hell is yelling at us, no matter who's telling us to get a job done on time or quicker or whatever, if we know in what we're doing that we're doing it safe, we're doing it right, we're doing it is I never put that kind of pressure on any of the people I work with, ever. I've seen guys get their hands wrapped in drills, all that stuff. I never put that pressure. It's not on me. It's on everybody. And when some people get stressed out about it, I always tell them, listen, take a step back, man. I'm not up your ass. I'm not up your butt to get this thing down. This is on you. You are stressing about this because you're doing it to yourself. So that's all I have to say. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this show, everybody. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in. Let's work together to get articles and accidents just not happening, man. Everybody should enjoy their summer. Everybody. Let's do our part to make sure that happens for each of us, okay? And remember, safety is all up. It's up to each one of us. And if you need a photograph to remind yourself of that, whether it's your family, whether it's somebody that has been basically crushed or something worse, use that to be safe each and every day. All right. We will talk to everybody later and see many of you in Alabama next week. Take care and, just be safe. Bye-bye.